So my athletic career started when I was 5 years old, and I joined the swim team. And my father says that I swam so slowly that my progress wasn't visible to the naked eye. And I totally believe him because I won most improved 5 years in a row, but I never won anything else. And mostly I didn't care, but every once in a while I would get discouraged, and when I did, my mom would tell me that I beat all the people who didn't try. But I loved sports, even though I was terrible, and I went on to play every sport. And I wasn't just terrible, I was like remarkably clueless. I would score points for the other team, and one time I hit the ball and ran straight to second base. Like, who does that? And a few years ago, I smugly told a coworker that I knew all about LeBron Jones. So this continued into adulthood, where I love doing athletic things. I just don't do them athletically. And I have this group of friends, and one's like a dancer, there's like yoga instructors and runners, and then there's me. And a few years ago, we went through like a Groupon phase where we took Krav Maga classes, and we actually took polo classes for a weekend. And at some point, the ringleader, Elise, announced that our next adventure would be trapeze. And I was a little bit hesitant because I thought that's one where you could actually hurt yourself. But Elise pointed out that this was my opportunity to swing around like a wild chimpanzee, which to most people would not be like a hot sell, but I am obsessed with great apes, so that was a great point. And then I also figured, not a lot of people have tried trapeze, so according to my mom's logic, I would have beaten a lot of people at it. But most importantly, I think I'm just always kind of thinking my sport might still be out there, and who knows, it could be trapeze. So I agreed to do it, but I think it became obvious pretty quickly that wasn't how it was going to play out, because every time I would talk about it, I would do this weird gesture, and I'd say to my friends, I'd be like, you guys, leading up to it, I'd be like, you guys, it's almost time to do trapeze. And they were concerned, they were like, that's not how you do trapeze. And I was like, that's not how you do trapeze. But when we got to the place, I was like, that's not how anyone does trapeze. And when I walked in, I saw these high platforms and ropes and nets, and I got really scared again. And so I sort of turned into an amateur safety inspector. And I was just walking all around, and I was examining how the bolts are soldered to the, whatever they are. And I was just randomly pulling on ropes, seems good. And I was so mad that I didn't pay more attention to high school physics, because I was I wish I could calculate how much weight that pulley can hold, and I couldn't pull it off. So I was starting to really get nervous and amped up, and I thought, if I'm ever gonna do it, I just need to bite the bullet. So I asked if I could go first. And so the way it works is you climb up this ladder to this very high platform, and they hook you up to this harness, and then you walk over to the edge of the platform, and while someone's holding you, you just lean into this abyss of nothingness and bend your knees and reach out, and you grab the trapeze with both hands, and then they say ready, and then you're supposed to jump when they say hep. And in my case, it was the 9th time they said hep. They were like, lady, hep. So finally I jumped out, and honestly it was awful. It was the worst thing ever. I don't remember it. It was the worst thing. And the way you get down is you're swinging on this trapeze, and you just have to let go and fall into this net. And so when I landed on the net, I was just quivering and shaking. And then when I got off the net and landed on the ground, my legs were like jelly. And I wouldn't say I was crying, but I also wouldn't say that I was not crying. So I approached my friends, they were all lined up, and I acted like I was coming back from a war. And I was I hugged them. And I was like, yes, I'm okay, it's okay, I'm okay. And they were like, yeah, no one thinks you're not okay. So one by one, they all go up unfazed, and they all do this same series of tricks where they swing, and then they flip over, hook their knees, swing upside down, then flip them back, do a backflip, and land on the net. And I was so amazed, one, that they were physically capable of doing it, but I didn't understand how they all knew to do the exact same thing. And it turns out they did this whole tutorial where I was in the corner trying to remember the formula to calculate torque. So I realized, I was I think I'm overreacting here. I need to kind of bite the bullet and be a little more brave. So my second turn, I went up, I climbed up, and I was brave, and I got to the net, and I jumped on the first hep. I jumped out, and the whole thing was a blur. But when I landed on the net, I wasn't quivering, and when I got on the ground, my legs didn't give up, and I was full blown not crying. So I thought, that's pretty good, until I looked over and I see my friends like huddled together, crying, laughing like they can't even stand up, and I was like, oh, I think there's been an incident. So I walk over to them, it takes them like a minute to get, I mean, they keep like holding up their hands like, there's a minute. So apparently I was like swinging back and forth on the trapeze, doing pretty well, and then just totally unprovoked, I just freaked out. And I started screaming and flailing. And they said that I must have gone into fight or flight because it looked like I was trying to run away. And I guess the more I flailed, the more scared I got. And so it turned like I was in a full sprint, hanging from the trapeze. But that's actually not the worst part. The worst part is that I guess I had forgotten how to get down, and so I was just screaming, like so outraged. These people, I was like, let me down, like I was being held against my will. And all the instructors are on the ground, like, just let go, just let go. So awful, you know? But I have to say, you know, the sporty people, they love to say things like, you can't win them all, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but when you run away while hanging from a trapeze, boy, do they laugh. But I was like determined. I was like, I'm not gonna quit. So my friends and I, we continued to go to multiple classes. We went maybe 3 or 4 more times, and they're getting better and better. They're doing like catches and flips and all these fancy things. And I just chose to really focus on my swinging. So we get to like the 5th class, and we walk in, and I start immediately talking about all the reasons I'm afraid. And I think the instructors were like, oh my God, this girl is ridiculous. So one of the guys says, that's it. You have to think of something that makes you angry, because he said fear is not a constructive emotion, but anger is. And I was like, wow, that really makes sense. And so the problem is, like, I don't get mad very easily, and when I do, I can't really hold a grudge. And so there I am on the thing, like ruminating, and he's like, oh, this girl's killing me. So finally, I thought about this one woman that I worked with she was really kind of awful, but like, her husband was really sick, and I was like, I don't think I can do a trapeze move against her. That just feels like a bridge too far, you know? So I walked over to the edge, and I yelled down to my friends, and I was like, you guys, tell me something that makes me mad. And they yelled up immediately, people who kill monkeys. And this was the perfect thing to say, because it makes me so angry to think of these beautiful, sentient creatures being senselessly killed. But also because chimpanzees are not monkeys. And I've told my friends this so many times, and it's almost like they don't know. So I said very intensely, ape poaching, got it. And I walked over to the edge, and I jumped off the platform, and suddenly I was able to do all of the tricks. It was amazing. So I used that strategy for the rest of the class. I did one as an anti-dog fighting statement. And then the last one was for the seal pups, obviously. So I never really, trapeze turned out not to be my sport, and I never was able to do all the tricks and stuff my friends were able to do, but I was the only one who got political with it, so I felt pretty good about that. So I never went back to trapeze, and it definitely turned out not to be my sport. But even though they didn't give out a most improved trophy at the adult trapeze class, which is kind of weird, right? I'm very confident who would have won. Thank you.